heavyweight averages 700 pounds of pressure per square inch. As you can see, Drago averages 1,850 pounds. So the results are quite obvious. And what results are those? Whatever he hits, he destroys. Hey, I'm Liam, this is Rob, and welcome to the Hey You Guys podcast, and I'll look back at one of the most 80s things of all time, 1985's utterly absurd and equally wonderful Rocky IV. Now, we've said on this podcast a bunch of times, we look back at these films like, God, this is so 80s, this is the most 80s. We usually talk in the realm of movies, obviously, but I would argue that Rocky IV might be the most 80s thing ever. I mean, it's up there with, mullets, acid wash jeans, Miami Vice, cocaine, and Rocky IV. They all sit there as like the top 5 most 80s things ever. I mean, it's like America turned up to 11, isn't it? It's a ridiculous film. Let's be clear. Like right from the top, I love this film, but it's utterly absurd.
The moment you get James Brown introducing you with living in America.
Oh, what a great
it's
intro.
Turned up to 11, let's be fair.
It is. I mean, obviously, this film was all framed around the height of the Cold War and, America versus Russia. And, this is kind of inching towards peak Americana in 1985. No more of the kind of sad, introspective 1970s America. This is, oh no, America is fucking awesome. And especially when we're talking in relation to the Russians. Although saying that, you get the big bombastic intro with Apollo Creed, and it is unbelievable watching it again. Like the fireworks, it looks like the backing band looks a bit like Sexual Chocolate, like complete with soul glow in the hair, the whole works. That whole intro, and then he just gets into the ring and literally gets killed. It's not very dignified, is it? I'm not sure if it's the most American thing in the world to go in there and just get your ass whipped after all the fireworks, but that's what happens, man. But obviously it sets the tone for the rest of the film.
Yeah. The first thing we should say about this film is the fact that on paper, this film shouldn't work.
I'm not sure it does.
It shouldn't work. What I mean, it shouldn't work. It's the most successful film of the franchise up to the point, and it's a 4th film in the series. It shouldn't work.
Yeah, but this is a unique period in time, and especially in Stallone's career. I mean, obviously Stallone had a massive career, especially in the 80s, but 85 was without question the pinnacle of his career. First Blood Part 2's just come out. That was an absolutely massive hit. This come out, and it's the biggest film in the Rocky franchise. I think he's got like 2 of the biggest films of the year that year. And both of them are these, when we think of these characters as being 80s icons, these are the films we're really thinking of. I think we mentioned before, if you go back and watch, this to Rocky, the first Rocky, is what First Blood Part 2 is to First Blood. Like, if you go back and watch the start of those franchises, I mean, obviously Rocky was, it's a 70s film. It was released in 1977, but it feels like a 70s film. Every inch of it,
Yeah, it's got that gritty feeling of a 70s film.
100%. Like, it's hardly about boxing, that film. It's about this man's journey, kind of. And as you say, gritty is absolutely the accurate word to describe the first Rocky film. And it's the same with Rambo. I mean, Rambo First Blood was 1982, but it totally feels like a 70s film. But it's in 1985, the middle of the 80s, when both of these characters truly become the 80s icons we think of today. First Blood Part 2 is a million miles away from, again, the introspective, damaged Rambo of First Blood. This is the guy going back to Vietnam, making right the wrongs of the 60s and 70s to basically destroy half of Vietnam and save all the POWs. This is like Rocky. Let's be clear, Rocky, he's not an intellectual. He was always, he was charming in his own unique way. But all of a sudden, Rocky IV, like, this is an articulate, smart, sharp, well-dressed, handsome, zero body fat Rocky. This is Rocky IV. As much as I love it, it's hardly Rocky in this film. He really is unrecognizable from the Rocky we knew before, and certainly the Rocky we know after. This is, you think to like Rocky VI in particular, and then the Creed films. That is the Rocky that we knew from Rocky I, Rocky II. It kind of goes a bit weird with Rocky III, and then Rocky IV is just like, fuck Rocky. This is just going to be an absolutely bombastic sports movie, like turned up to 11.
But you've already said what it is. It's the Cold War. So Rocky in this is America. He is the emphasis, the embodiment of America. Yeah. So America's not going to be. They're not going to see themselves as they would Rocky from Rocky I. He has to be he has to be articulate.
Good-looking.
He has to be good looking. He has to be the strongest guy going. And also, randomly, they're seeing themselves as the little guy against Russia.
Yeah. Well, everybody likes the underdog. That's very much part of the Americana thing. And to speak to one of your points, I mean, it's a strange thing to say, but remember, I think on an earlier episode, Predator, we were saying about how Arnie has never looked better than when he was in Predator.
Yeah.
Make no mistake, Stallone has never looked better.
Stallone,
the 7th training montage when he's got the beard and he's training in the barn. I'm like, that is peak Stallone. He looks fantastic.
To quote Drago at the end of the film when he says that he's like a piece of iron. It's not.
Yeah.
Stallone looks like he's cut out of granite in this.
Oh, he's fucking shredded.
Oh my God.
The only thing I regret, he should have kept the beard for the fight. He looks so good with the beard.
Yeah.
He should have kept the beard. But that was the thing, though. I was watching this film, and I'm going to keep coming back to the fact that I love this film. I think it might be it's not the best Rocky film, definitely not the best Rocky film, but
Rocky
it might be my favorite. Yeah, Rocky 5. Everyone knows Rocky 5. But I was like, I think it might be my favorite Rocky film because there's no two ways about it. Like, I think this is a bad film. Like, there's no character arc for Rocky at all other than just revenge. Drago is just a visual stand-in for communism. Like, he does nothing else. Creed is the only one who has some form of character development, and he dies in the first 20 minutes. Like, it's fun, it races along and stuff, but, it's like, for a movie that has so much music in it, it's ironically rather one note. I mean, it's the best single note of all time, don't get me wrong, but I don't think this actually works as a film, and a big part of it was that the original cut of this film was supposed to be an hour longer. Yeah. And obviously, they looked at the cut and went, okay, we need to get rid of an hour, but we also don't want to get rid of any music. And hence, we end up with a film which just about hangs together as a movie.
Can I bring a fact into this already? Because you're already discussing about the cut, and it should have been an hour longer. And we're going to discuss the fact that Rocky's going to bring a director's cut out in this in the future.
Yeah, that should be interesting.
It's being calculated that Rocky IV is 31.9% montages. Nearly a third of the film during a second. So for nearly a third of this film. But during the second half of the film, or the last 50 minutes, it's approximately 50% montage. So the last 50 minutes, 25 minutes of that is a montage. It's likely that this was to cover the removal of the hour worth of material and to provide enough cut-down exposition, bridging material to fill the gap so the story was still relatively legible. So in order to make up for the hour they've cut out of it, they included 50% montage for the last 50 minutes of this film.
Yeah, well, that like I assume that was all in the original film, and those montages might make slightly more sense if you've got more of a movie. But they were just like, no, we want to keep this to 90 minutes. We want it to just be non-stop, and that is exactly what it is. I mean, they tell most of the story, as you say, through montage. Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's easy to make montages are a part of Rocky. Full stop. Nearly every film other than the first one obviously starts with a montage. It's a montage / recap of what happened before. But
you do miss the song from the other films in this one, don't you, with the montages? Is it Gotta Fly Now or Gotta Fight Now, I think the song is?
Yeah, I think like a few keys of it might be used in like the Vice Cola, because, well, he has the first of two, like basically that's the only ever, what would you call it, a montage warm-up. Yeah. There's a scene when he gets to Russia and Rocky starts training, and there's a great training montage, East versus West and all that jazz, although that's not included in the original song. And it's Vice Cola, and it's the much more kind of melodic, he's doing the training, it cuts to Drago and stuff. Then there's the briefest interlude for Adrian to show up and, I don't know, moan. That's what she does for most of this fucking movie, and just tell him he's a piece of shit. You can't win, Rocky. You just can't win, for fuck's sake.
Not just most of this movie, for the franchise.
For most of them. Although I will give her the benefit of the doubt to a certain extent. We'll get back to that in a minute. So there's a montage, then they talk for what amounts to about 3 seconds, and then it just goes straight into basically another version of that with a better song. It's like the second part of the montage, which goes straight into Hearts on Fire by John Cafferty, which, for my money, is maybe the peak of this film. Like, there's some great tracks in it.
The soundtrack was given a Razzie, wasn't it? It was nominated for a Razzie Award. But it's considered one of the best soundtracks for a movie ever. But it was nominated for a Razzie. Again,
you say best, but there's always the caveat, like the film itself. It's like, it's my favorite, or it's not like it's stupid as fuck. Like if you don't enjoy this film, you could watch it and be like, this is the dumbest film I've ever seen. If you're not in on the tone of this film, you could watch it and be like, what are all these dumb 80s songs? But if it grabs you, and it obviously does grab a lot of people, like you're all in on it. You're fucking all in. Like I don't think this film was reviewed particularly well, but I think if you talk to, 100 random people on the street and ask them what their favorite Rocky film is, I'm thinking this is going to be top two for like the majority.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be Rocky and then Rocky 4, I think.
It's a weird one because I was actually thinking, if you're looking at like movie franchises, I don't think there are many out there, especially movies, franchises which have as many movies as this. So we're going to say 8, obviously, including the Creed films, where the batting average is so high. Like, other than Rocky 5, which isn't quite as bad as some people have you to believe. It's bad, but it's not as bad as people have you to believe. There's some good stuff in there. Like,
where? The end credits?
Oh, no. Well, the stuff with Mickey, some of that's well touching. I actually watched that bit stoned once, and I was in fucking bits. But, like, other than Rocky 5, like, every other film in the series is at least decent. Like, there's not another stinker. So you're talking 7 out of 8 films are at least good. Like, is there another, like, Rocky 2 is basically a not so good remake of the first one, but it's still a decent film. Rocky 3 is not my favorite, but it's like loads of fun.
So
fantastic.
Do you know what the catalyst of that is, though? So aside from the first Rocky, Rocky 2, Rocky 3, Rocky 4, and Balboa, all directed by Stallone.
No, Rocky 1 wasn't directed by
That's right. That's why I said Rocky 2. I said aside from Rocky 1.
I do apologize.
Aside from Rocky 1, Rocky 2, Rocky 3, Rocky 4, and Balboa, all directed by Stallone. 5 wasn't. So So what I'm saying is, you can consider them all good except for Rocky 5. So Rocky 4 wasn't directed by Stallone. So the catalyst for most of this series is Stallone directing it.
Yeah, 100%. And like you say, like he's nearly all of them are hits. Like, I mean, I loved Rocky Balboa. Like, I love that film. I think it's a fantastic film, and it feels much more like a perfect movie to pair with the original Rocky.
Oh, and fucking hell, you want to talk about legacy? What did Rocky Balboa give us? That bloody what's the word? Speech he gives to his kid.
It's a great speech.
Yeah, but now that's in pretty much every fighting montage on the internet. I think Conor McGregor used it at one point.
Yeah. It does pop up in a lot of places. But I mean, Rocky 6, I mean, it was the first one as well I actually saw at the cinema. As much as I loved all these films, obviously they all came out when I was like really...
Rocky you were never watching these in the cinema.
Was like, Rocky 5 is the only one I could have feasibly seen at the cinema. And, obviously, you kind of grow up seeing them. You can't remember the first time you've seen them. So going into Rocky 6... and seeing a legitimate Rocky film, like fresh, new, on the big screen, man, like, and that is much closer to the first one. Like, again, it's a slow film. It's a small film in many respects. It's quite sad. Like, it's back to the melancholic Rocky. Like, even when he's giving the speeches, in his restaurant, there's that kind of heavy melancholy to the character, which makes him so relatable and so likable on screen. It's something which is totally lost in Rocky 4. And watching the fight at the end, I mean, and it's another thing we'll come back to, nearly every Rocky film, as much as I love them, the boxing in nearly all of them is terrible. It's terrible. But Rocky 6 and the Creed movies subsequent, that's where the boxing improved greatly. But I remember, I can't remember the guy he boxes in Rocky 6, but when he hurts his hand on Rocky, and Rocky goes after him, and he floors him with a body shot.
Yeah.
That is the closest I have ever come in a cinema to my ass coming off the seat. Like, it was just that old, like, Rocky thing. Because obviously, like always, you've been built up with a training montage. Duke with that. Let's build some hurting bombs.
Sorry,
and like,
can I
the moment
interject?
says that, I'm in.
Can I interject a minute? It was Mason the Line Dixon in Rocky Balboa.
That's it. I mean, let's be clear. As much as I like Rocky 6, he's not the most memorable of enemies, but then equally enemies, competitors, whatever you want to call it. But the difference was he was an actual boxer.
Yeah, but that's what they did then. So from Rocky 5, Rocky Balboa, and Creed, they actually got boxers to be the opponent for the end of it.
Yeah, it didn't make any difference in Rocky 5. That's for the fucking damn sure. Rocky 5 is the worst. But yeah, like I said, Rocky 6 feels like a very different film in every aspect. And is one of the things, like looking back at the absurdity of this film, and it's something that runs through all of the Rocky films, is the actual boxing. It's fun, for sure, to watch, but it does not resemble real boxing at all. I mean, where's the figures I've got on this? Excuse me. In the first, 3 minutes of this fight, so obviously Balboa versus Ivan Drago, Drago finds Balboa's face with 61 of 72 punches. So in the first 3 minutes, he successfully hits Balboa in the face 61 times. And then in the 15th round, obviously because it's old-fashioned boxing, we used to box 15 rounds, Balboa finished the fight by landing 36 of 37 total punches. These stats run all the way through the Rocky series, and they're all absolutely insane. I mean, you talk about, the pounds of pressure, which came from the quote at the start. Somebody did the maths on that. No boxer in history comes close to matching the pounds per square inch of Ivan Drago. And he's landing 61 of 72 punches in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
Like, he'd be dead. He'd be fucking dead. And also, like, let's be clear, they're from very different weight classes. Like, he has no business being in the same ring as Ivan Drago.
He should be Drago should be fighting like Butterbean or somebody like that.
Yeah, I mean, how tall is he? What, 6'4"?
Yeah, I think he might be a bit taller.
Well, either way, he's a big old boy. And, I know there's been heavy, you think of Tyson, he was a shorter heavyweight, but he was a fucking unit. I know, Stallone was absolutely shredded in this film, but he again, 0% body fat. He couldn't have weighed more than, 11, 12 stone? He would have got fucking murdered. It's a ridiculous film. But then, we are talking about film, like, it ticks all the Americana.
6'5", by the way.
What's that?
6'5".
6'5", okay. It's got the Russian villain. It's got the unnecessary and totally unrealistic robots for no apparent reason. It's got more montage so you shake a stick at. And as we said, Stallone cut to shreds. I mean, even like the end of the film where suddenly Moscow turns pro-Rocky, sorry. It's like he gives the speech and then Gorbachev starts clapping. I mean, what was it? So it's like, it's the height of American hubris. I mean, I've got the...
Sorry, go on. I was just saying...
I'm saying I've got the quote here, the end of the fight. It's like, during this fight, I've seen a lot of changing in the way you feel about me and in the way I feel about you. In here, there were 2 guys killing each other, but I guess that's better than 20 million. I guess what I'm trying to say is that if I can change and you can change, everyone can change. All the Russians are all up on their feet. Everyone's clapping America. God bless America. It's outrageous. Outrageous.
We've drifted. No, don't apologize. We've drifted a lot on this film. So nobody's listened to this podcast who hasn't seen this film, but I do think we need to actually just explain what this film is about, because we have drifted a lot. We've already gone on to the montages. We've gone on to the fights. Okay, maybe we don't even know what it's about, but basically, Apollo Creed. Whoa, I just literally lost what I was going to say then. Apollo Creed wants to fight Drago because Drago's just come onto the scene as the best heavyweight in the world.
Creed, it's the unknown quantity, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nobody knew what was happening behind the Iron Curtain.
Yeah.
And that we were talking about it earlier, about the fact that Creed's the only one who gets a bit of a character arc. And it's in that first bit, he's talking about the whole Americana thing, about it's us versus them. But really what he's doing is trying to prove to himself that he's not over the hill, that he's still got it in him. Like, that's a massive part of Rocky's not driving the narrative in the first 20 minutes of this film.
It's all Creed. Creed wants to be relevant again. That's what he wants.
Exactly, yeah.
So he fights Drago. Doesn't turn out too well for Creed in the most literal sense, because if he dies, he dies.
Yeah, well, I guess the big question for that scene is, should Rocky have thrown in the damn towel? Which is my favorite line from him. Throw the damn towel! Like, it's just like, it's a great scene when he's doing that. Actually, I watched the trailer for this film before we started this. And in that, obviously, he's in the corner and he says, don't throw in the towel, no matter what, and all that, like one fighter to another. You see in the trailer, there's a bit where Drago's just punched him, And it goes to Rocky with his boss jumper. They're all wearing boss jumpers for some reason. And he's got the towel in his hand, but it actually cuts back to Creed. And he's looking over Drago's shoulder and he's like saying no, like very literally, don't you fucking do it. But that's not in the film. It's just, which I think is preferable. It's just between him and Rocky. So everyone else is like, why didn't you throw the towel? But obviously they've had this boxer to boxer moment, which makes it
that's more impactful. That's probably going to be in a director's cut again. That's probably one of the things that was cut out.
Yeah, I'm still not sure if this film, I want a director's cut for this film. Like, you add an hour, you lose the absurdity. And I think if you try and make this a good film,
but they're gonna,
a legitimately good film, you lose the magic.
They're going to make it more story-driven, aren't they? Of course. But anyway, so Creed gets killed. So for revenge, Rocky decides to fight him. Just to prove he can beat him. But that's not taking revenge for Creed. That's just them proving you can do what Creed couldn't. So that's a bit of that.
I still don't get why they're fighting on Christmas Day. Like, I don't get that. I mean, surely you'd have it on Boxing Day, if anything. Just be clear, I'm aware that the etymology of Boxing Day has nothing to actually do with boxing, but it's got a nice ring to it. You know,
that was pure dad joke, that wasn't, mate. That was
really was. But yeah, it was. At least I feel like I saved the whole etymology bit. Like, I thought about it rather than it just being a pure dad joke, but it was a bit of a dad joke.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not sure why they had that on Christmas Day. And as you say, like, it never felt like he was really fighting for Creed. Like, he even said when Adrian was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you? You know, like you can't win speed, all that jazz." It's like, why can't you change? And he's just like, "I'm just a fighter." He's just looking for another fight. And it's just I think it's just something put in front of him. I think that's the trick. Like, he's basically retired. You know, he's won all the fights he could have won. He's just beat Clubber Lang, who was actually might be in the. It'll be interesting to see if he's in the director's cut because he was supposed to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all about him. He's just like, listen, I'm here to fight, you know. But I don't know. It's mixed messages. But again, I don't think the movie's really thinking much about that.
Oh no, it's not. But they're trying to say he's doing it to avenge his friend's death. But I mean, if you look at it, it's not. It's to prove something that he could do what Creed couldn't. Basically,
it's East versus West, mate. East versus West. That's what it's really all about. So.
You mean the fact they say that about 90 times in this film?
Yeah, well, that is the thing.
West.
They're trying to make an excuse for him to fight Drago in Russia, have the whole setup. So that's why they have the Creed bit. But really, it's just like, oh, we should have a film about us fighting a giant Russian. That's it. Yeah. And it works.
You get that montage then as well that shows that Rocky is literally fighting an uphill battle as he's trying to run uphill in the snow whilst Drago is in the... I guess the luxury that he's in with the machinery and the state of the art,
all the sweet drugs. Well, what it basically reminded me of is the Ewoks versus the Stormtroopers at the end of Return of the Jedi. It's like the Ewoks shouldn't win; they're totally under-equipped, but they're trying really hard. So and they've got good on their side. So yeah, I very much think of Drago as a well kitted out, but ultimately clumsy stormtrooper versus a well-prepared, adorable little Ewok.
The Ewoks had exactly what Hudson said they needed from Aliens. Sharp sticks.
Yeah, and it did the trick. Well, sharp sticks and those giant tree things, which did a pretty good job on the walkers.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, there's so many montages. Like, every time you try, the problem is you try and explain this film and you end up just saying, oh, there's that montage, and then there's the other montage, and then the other montage. Like, just be clear, right? I mean, you already said in terms of 31.9% of this film is montage and 50% of the final 50 minutes of montage. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 key musical moments in this film. Like,
yeah, so there's the driving scene where he's...
Well, no, it starts before that. So there's Eye of the Tiger first.
Yeah.
So Eye of the Tiger, which is like recapping the last film. So it's him versus Clubber Lang.
I was just trying to guess him. I didn't know we were going in order. But
I've totally got him in order. We're running with it. So also that includes the great exploding gloves, scene, which looks ridiculous now, but still fun. Then there's Living in America, the great James Brown introduction, the backup singers, all that jazz. Then there's, as you say, there's No Easy Way Out. So we're at No Easy Way Out. This is number 3. The Robert Tepper, the car, the Lamborghini Jalpa, the super 80s type, like everything about it is fucking
no super shortcut home.
Oh, it's amazing. Well, that's the thing. It works both as a recap, a montage of the film, as the series as a whole, and of his love for Creed and what he must do. It's like a double montage all at once. It's unbelievable.
Plus,
it's got that car.
Gets to show off his driving skills, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a manual car.
Did you see the number plate on the car as well?
Yeah, Southpaw.
Southpaw, yeah. That was quite a nice little nod, I thought.
I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Do you want me to keep going through these?
Yeah, absolutely. Keep going.
Okay, so there's.
But I can't promise that I'm not going to sing them when you tell me what they are.
No, sing away, dude. It's hard not to sing the Rocky IV soundtrack. So then there's Burning Heart when he arrives in Russia. So that's another Survivor song. The guys who die of the tiger. Then there's the aforementioned double montage moment. So it starts with, as I said, Vice to Cola and this, more kind of, I'd say piano, but it's all very synth and stuff. So it's him training in the, running around and stuff like that. You're running up the mountain versus Drago and, getting his drugs and using machines and stuff. Then it's followed almost immediately by Hearts on Fire by John Cassidy, which is amazing.
On fire. Strong.
There we go. That's when you're getting peak Stallone with the beard, the cart lift, the double, so he lifts the cart and goes, Drago! Then he runs up a mountain.
It's the hanging sit-ups that he does.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
What a machine. What a machine. So he shouts Drago there. Then he runs unbelievably unequipped. So, I mean, he's on the top of a mountain. He's not running up a hill. He is at the top of what looks like a very steep mountain in a bomber jacket in his boots. I'm surprised he didn't die on the descent, if anything else. So he goes up there, shouts Drago again. It's fucking awesome. Then maybe this is a bit of a cheat, but I totally count the Soviet national anthem, which is an absolute fucking belter. I honestly couldn't believe it was actually their national anthem. I remember hearing it at a football game and being like, this is the one from Rocky. It's the song from Rocky. They actually use it. It's actually the anthem. It seems so ridiculous. I think it's like the older anthem.
Unless you get a giant picture of Drago pop up whilst it's playing, it's not the same, is it? Let's be fair.
That's the thing. Is his intro actually better than Creed? Has got all the fanfare. It's got James Brown doing the classic Kate thing. The song's amazing. But that goddamn banner with just a picture of you coming down with the national anthem playing, I'm not sure, would that work with the Welsh national anthem? Just me coming down. And as well, playing football as well. It's a team sport, but no, it's just a picture of me coming down. Oh, my God, that would be the dream. So there's the Soviet national anthem, and then there's war. So obviously the fight's already going. But it's when the fight really kicks off. So obviously he gets his ass whooped for the first couple of rounds. Yeah. But then the famous, he's cut.
He's not just a machine. He's a man.
Yeah, you cut him. He's hurt. You see, he's not a machine. He's a man. And all the no pain. That's when war kicks in. And again, it's another deep, strong boxing montage right up until the 15th round, which in itself is ridiculous. And I think, again, accidentally, I've described the entire movie. Do montage. That's the entire fucking film.
Pretty
the
much.
only thing we haven't give special mention to, and it's another part of the film which has its own music, is the introduction of Paulie's utterly ridiculous robot butler.
Happy birthday, Paulie.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Paulie. Oh my God.
The only thing that intro is missing when it comes in and it's happy birthday, Paulie, it's like dry ice. It feels like there should be dry ice there, you know? But Paulie is initially confused. Obviously he wanted a sports car. He's got this weird robot.
Wouldn't you be confused? What the fuck is going on?
Yeah, but how quickly does it turn from, I don't want this robot to...
I'm going to turn it into some sort of...
I mean, we got to ask the question, was Paulie fucking the robot? I mean,
I'm
that's what it felt like.
There was an attachment that is only in the extra hour of this scene.
I love the idea that the whole hour is just Paulie's weird, slightly disturbing relationship with the robot.
He's hooked a flashlight up to this thing.
Oh, no. There'd definitely be a spot for it. Well, he's up to no good, that's for sure. He hasn't just changed it to a woman's voice. It's a kind of subservient female voice. It's very, and I know it's supposed to be a butler, but that voice doesn't scream butler. That voice screams free blowjobs. That's what it screams to me. So I know what's going on. But yeah, that robot, while it doesn't get a name in the film, it's called Psycho. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. But it's actually been in a whole bunch of movies, and like it had this whole life outside of Rocky IV. It's the first non-human member of America's Screen Actors Guild, which is insane. It was in Days of Our Lives. It entertained Reagan at the White House, and it actually ended up touring with James Brown. Which, although I think James Brown was just attaching himself to this film because Living in America was like his first top 40 hit for like 11 years. And I think it was his last top 40 hit as well. So this was like his last glorious moment. But although I think the song's a belter.
The designers weren't happy though, were they? Because it was actually designed, the robot was designed to treat autism in children. And in the end, it was used to get Paulie beers.
yeah, which is a bit sad. I mean? But they're the conflicting stories I've heard on this. One, I heard Stallone saw it at a party, the robot, and thought it was cool. But the other story, which I prefer to believe, is that he saw the robot on a talk show, and obviously the creator was saying, it's for kids with autism, and his son actually has autism. Yeah. And so he got in touch with them, and they used the robot with his son, and it went incredibly well. And then he decided to put the robot in the movie, and obviously the robot had a whole career after that. So I'm going to believe the latter of those, the slightly heartwarming story. While it did end up as a sexy butler for Paulie, it did start as this robot which helped out with this kid who has autism. So let's believe the heartwarming version of that.
Yeah,
even if both versions of the story end with Paulie fucking the robot, there's nothing you can do about that. Unbelievable.
Oh, there's an image you wanted on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah. But I mean, that is the thing. I mean, after that, Rocky goes to Russia, and all it is training and then the fight.
Yeah.
That is it. I mean, there's a little bit with, she gets very short shrift, Adrian, and she does moan a lot. But let's be clear. He made the fight. He agreed to the fight in Russia, gave the press conference. She didn't know about it. He didn't tell his fucking wife. I think she's got every right to be annoyed.
Yeah, I wouldn't have shown up. I wouldn't have gone to Russia. But you've gone on your own.
I think if I planned to fight in Russia against the dude who just killed my best friend in the ring, and I didn't consult her, but then on top of that, didn't tell her, but then also didn't tell her until after the press conference and announcing the fight in Russia on Christmas Day as well, which is a double dick move when you've got a kid at home as well. I mean, Rocky, yeah, sure, he had his reasons, but still, he was a bit of a bellend. But, that doesn't offset Adrian's, long history of being a bit of a sourpuss.
Oh yeah, I don't think she smiled once in this series, let alone just this film alone.
No, I don't think she did. I mean, she does have a few great moments when she's trying to talk Rocky out of fighting again in the second film, and she's just had the baby. She's she whispers to him, "Do one thing." It's win. And then the music kicks in. I was just like, "Oh my god, that was a fucking great movie." Moment, sorry. But yeah, she's a bit of a bummer in this film. I think she only has that one line, "You're gonna do it." I was like, well, you changed your tune now in the 15th fucking round. Jesus Christ. But I mean, we mentioned earlier the fact that the fight itself is fundamentally ridiculous. Yeah. But I mean, you have to enjoy it, right?
Oh, it's great. I mean, once again, who doesn't love a montage, especially a fight montage? Let's be fair.
Or a movie montage.
Or a movie. This whole movie is montage.
I mean, I was talking to my friend about it not too long ago. I was like, this film is basically a musical. I would say this film's probably got more music than most fucking musicals. It's insane. But yeah, but anyway, we do get to the boxing eventually. Yeah. And it's silly. Drago should kill him in the first round, but it's really fucking good.
Really I just always remember the line in that film with the commentator gets really excited. Rocky's picking up the Russian, carrying him to the end of the ring, like he's getting.
He's throwing him like a rag doll and all that. Like you say, it's got so many great lines. It was like I'm seeing three of them out there. Hit the one in the middle, right? Hit the one in the middle. Like
that's based on fact, isn't it?
Yeah, real boxer.
Max Beer and there was another Max, I think. Max Schillinger, maybe the fight.
I'm willing to believe you. Yeah, and I'm sure 99% of the people listening to this will be willing to believe you as well.
And basically, yeah, and there was that, and they said the line, and they had in Max Beer's corner, he had an ex-boxer in his corner, and he was saying like, I'm seeing three of him, and the ex-boxers like hit the one in the middle, and he went on to win that round and win the fight. I think it was. I mean, don't quote me on that, but the fact.
Oh no, I'm willing to believe it.
Yeah. But no, that's based on realism. So I quite like that, and it's a funny line as well.
It is, and like right from the off, it's got great quotes in it. I mean, that "I must break you" is a great quote.
Oh, the Italian version of that. Have you seen the Italian version?
I have. It's very similar, isn't it? But it's supposed to be like incredibly popular. What is it?
I break you in two or something like that.
Ti spiezzo in due. I guess it would be ti spiezzo in due. Apologies to any Italian listeners. Became by far the most famous quote from the movie in Italy and entered everyday speech. I mean, I would say "I must break you" kind of entered everyday vernacular here. Like, I think to most people, if you were about to have a fight in the street and say "I must break you," I think everyone, even if they're angry, you'd be like, "That's pretty cool, dude."
It's the other one in it as well. If he dies, he dies.
Yeah, that's the thing. Drago gets like fucking 8 lines in this film, but they're all good. They're all good.
Did you see that? Tony Burton, Duke, Creed's trainer, who ended up training Rocky, although he says quite a lot of things, mainly his line is the same line over and over again. No pain. No pain.
Yeah.
No pain.
I wish he'd shouted "throw the damn towel." There's something about his delivery. "Throw the damn towel." It's just something about that fucking line. But yeah, he does say "no pain" a fucking lot.
Yeah.
But again, he's one of those ones like nobody has much to work with from a dialogue basis, but nearly everybody makes it count. Like the lines land, you know.
Visually, this film as well. Like you said, like from Rocky picking up Drago and crying across the ring to Paulie rubbing Duke's head as Rocky's winning, just in the corner, just rubbing his head. He's getting excited. Just the visuals in this look great. The training, the fighting, they're not the best. And we won't even mention the stats; those ridiculous stats.
Ridiculous stats.
But visually, it is great to watch.
Well, it's that audio visual thing. Like, this film doesn't work as a film, I don't think. But what it does work as is a series of vaguely connected moments. But all the moments are great. All the songs are great. As we're saying, all those like little lines, they all land. They all attach. The boxing at the end, it's silly. But again, with the combination with there's something special about those Rocky films. And they do it in every film. They know what they're doing. With the training, obviously, it goes on longer here because half the film is training montages. But the music kicks in. In this instance, instead of the usual Rocky theme tune, it is Hearts on Fire. It's the second part of that montage. It's like after he has the speech and basically gets the green light from Adrian, it's like straight into Hearts on Fire, amazing montage, and then it's almost straight into the fight. Although even again, Paulie gets a great line. It's like, "Oh, if I could be anyone, I'd want to be you, Rock. You're all heart." It's just like, even that's an oddly touching moment.
Yeah, but then he goes back on that 30 seconds later. That thing I just told you, forget about it.
Yeah. But that's classic Paul, isn't it? Yeah. As I said, there's a reason everyone loves this film, despite the fact it's not very good as a film, despite the fact that Rocky isn't really Rocky in this film. All these little bits, as silly as they are, they're all so much fun. And that is I mean, it sounds weird for a film where, Apollo Creed gets murdered in the ring. But this film is just fun. It's fun back to front. I find it. I mean, do you have like a vague idea of how you'd rank the Rocky films? I feel like I have to say Rocky 1 because it is fundamentally the best film. But like Rocky 4 it's up there. It's got to be my second or third favorite. It has to be. I mean, I think I'm off the top of my head. I really should have planned for this. I'm thinking Rocky 1. It probably would be Rocky 4. Rocky Balboa, Creed, Rocky 3, Rocky 2, Creed 2, Rocky 5. I think I got all of them there. I think I got all of it, and I'm gonna go with that because I wasn't a big fan of Creed 2. There's some good stuff in it, but I didn't think it really worked. I mean, Rocky, but it's still a good film. As I said, this series has a great batting average. If Creed 2 is the 7th best film, you're doing really fucking well. So we're not mentioning Rocky 5's miles.
We're not mentioning. Are we mentioning the Creeds in this, or we're just sticking with the Rockies for a minute?
No. As I said, the Creeds. I had Creed 1 at. Sorry if I messed up the numbers. I have Creed 1 at number 4.
Okay.
As my fourth favorite, but it's close.
I'm not going to include.
4, you can throw a blanket over them.
I'm not going to include the Creeds for a minute because that's going to confuse me because I already had there in my head as 1, 4, 2, 3, 6, and 5.
2, 3, 6, 5. Okay, yeah. So slightly different to mine. I had 6. I've got a real soft spot for 6. I don't know.
I do like 6, But I don't know. I quite like the originals without bringing Rocky back. Like I liked seeing Rocky further on down the line, like what he was doing, wanting to come back and stuff like that. But it's like seeing what old Indiana Jones did. Do you know what I mean?
It was more successful. I think after, and again, this is talking from a position of love for Rocky IV. After Rocky 3, 4, 5, like where the character kind of loses himself, becomes something different. I think I like 6 for bringing him back to what he was, and the fact that, if, like I said, I feel like you could almost skip. I wouldn't suggest it, but you could skip Rockies 2 through 5 and go from 1 to 6, and it would still kind of work. And as you said, like Ryan Coogler did an absolutely amazing job.
Well, that's it. If I'm including the Creeds, Creed would go. Creed 1 would go third spot, it'd go after Rocky 4, so it'd be 1-3. It'd be 1-4 Creed.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Then again, I might reconsider that with Rocky Balboa.
It'd be 1-4 Creed. Then what did I say? Then 2. Then 3. No, 2, and then before 3, then I put Creed 2 in there, and then 3. No, I would put Balboa before Creed. Jesus Christ, I'm thinking too much into this now.
You're doing well. Yeah, you're keeping them all on plate.
Yeah, but well, I'd still, for the top 3, it'd be 1, 4, and Creed for me. My top 3. Yeah.
Well, like that is the thing with Creed 2, and I think it could be the issue with the director's cut of Rocky 4 when it comes, is that it was trying to reconcile the serious tone of Creed 1 with the utter batshit absurdity of Rocky 4. Like, it was almost the two extremes, other than maybe Rocky 1. Like, Creed is a serious film, you know? There's no jokes in there. It's a serious boxing film. And trying to reconcile that with the, you know, the high point of the absurdity of the Rocky franchise. And it doesn't quite work. I don't think it quite nails either side and falls somewhere in the middle and doesn't feel right as a film. So I think with Creed 2 is still an okay film, but, excuse me, but for me, it didn't capture either sides, didn't really work as a film tonally more so than anything else, which was a bit of a shame. And that's what I'm worried about. Basically, what will happen with Rocky 4 is that if you add genuine narrative, genuine dialogue, is that it'll move away from the absurdity and will just end up ultimately a so-so Rocky film.
It's your fear as well with Creed 3. And I realize we're talking about Rocky 4, but Creed 1 was obviously Creed's kid. Creed 2 was Drago's kid. And now everyone wants Creed 3 to be Clubber Lang's kid.
It can't be. I think this is the perfect time for him to very much stand, and for the character to stand on his own 2 feet. Because the whole thing is, Rocky's not coming back for this film.
No.
This is the first Creed without
And
Sylvester.
It's being directed by Michael B. Jordan himself. So he's going to want to... It's the first film he's directed, I believe. So he's going to want just to have this as a standpoint for himself. You know, he's not going to want people just thinking, oh, he's just riding coattails again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, the thing is, it was like, as good as those films were, there was always a certain reliance. And I think that's just a name recognition thing, to be like, this is a Rocky film. Like, you know, fair play. They didn't call it Rocky : Creed. They called the Creed up front, which I thought was a brave and correct move. But it's like, we've had 2 films of this now. And as I said, you know, Stallone's not going to be in it. And as well, I think Stallone kind of stole the first movie. Like, Stallone's so good in the first Creed. I mean, he got robbed. He should have won Best Supporting Actor for Creed, 100%. And obviously, Creed 2 was so caught up in, even though it's more of a Michael B. Jordan film, it's still all tied up in Rocky 4. It's like, with Creed 3, just make it Creed. Don't have any unnecessary links to the Rocky franchise. Just make it a new story with a new boxer. For fuck's sake, do not make it Clubber Lang's kid. It would be ridiculous.
That's what I mean. It would. It's pointless then. Because at some point then, you're going to need Creed 4 to be not Mickey, Tommy the Machine Gun's kid.
Yeah, where the fuck do you draw the line?
Yeah.
Hopefully they have drawn the line.
Right.
I suspect they'll make the right
There's not much more we can talk about in regards to the story. It's a Rocky film. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Usually at this point, we have legacy. We've done the legacy. We can't do anything more about the soundtrack because we've fucking done that to death. So I think you just got to go straight to facts, dude. Yeah,
cool. Well, I got quite a few. I got a couple of facts. You got to draw the line in facts at some time because
absolutely,
this thing just goes nuts. But there's a couple of good ones. So bear with me on this one. This one's a bit long. Sylvester Stallone decided that for the shooting of the fight, he and Dolph Lundgren should hit one another for real, so as to increase the intensity of the scene. After doing 3 takes of Rocky taking shots to ribs, Stallone felt a burning in his chest, but ignored it. Later that night, he had difficulty breathing and was taken to a nearby emergency room. It was discovered that his blood pressure was over 200, and he had to be flown on low-altitude flight from Canada to St. John's Hospital in Santa Monica, where he remained in intensive care for 4 days. What had happened was that Lundgren had punched him so hard in the chest, Stallone's heart had slammed up against the breastbone and began to swell, cutting off the blood supply and restricting the oxygen flow throughout the body.
I mean, that's pretty. That is the thing. I mean, even though the boxing isn't realistic, I mean, you believe that they're punching each other.
Yeah.
You'll give them that. Like, it looks, I hate to use the word visceral, but it looks visceral.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like he's getting his ass whooped.
There's another take on this. Pretty much the same thing, but it's instead of it actually being the film, it says, filming of it, says, during a practice round, Sylvester Stallone told Dolph Lundgren to really go at it, like how normal boxers do for 15 seconds. He ended up with a swelling pericardia sac around his heart and had to be rushed to the emergency room by plane. His insurance company thought he was faking it, saying that his injuries looked more from head-on collisions when the steering wheels hit you in the chest. Stallone replied with, "Have you seen Dolph Lundgren? That's a truck. That's a steering wheel. That's a head-on collision." His insurance company honoured the claim soon after that.
So basically, what you're saying is, what he hits, he destroys?
Apparently.
That's pretty much it, right? Yeah. I mean, both those, you can sum them up with the same line. Don't get punched by Ivan Drago. I mean, he looks like he can whip some ass. So Dolph Lundgren is a unit, man.
Dolph Lundgren talking to the insurance company, just going, if he dies...
He dies. Yeah. Also, it's like, dude, no. I punch really hard. Like, if you've not seen the film, like 2,000 pounds of, square pressure. I mean, that's pretty tough, right? Jesus Christ. Just pay the man, for God's sake.
Rocky IV became the highest grossing film in the Rocky series to date, taking in just over $300 million worldwide.
Which is a lot of fucking money for 1985.
This one's quite good. So during filming, Dolph Lundgren and Carl Weathers really did not get along and got into an altercation. Lundgren threw Weathers into a corner of the boxing ring. After that, Weathers shouted profanities at Lundgren. I keep saying his name different every time. Lundgren, while leaving the ring, and announced that he was calling his agent and quitting the movie. Only after Sylvester Stallone forced the two actors to reconcile did the movie continue. This event caused a 4-day work stoppage while Weathers was talked back into the part, and Lundgren agreed to tone down his aggressiveness.
Well, do you know what the important part of that is? Is like Weathers was an absolute unit in '85. Yeah. But the fact that he's like shouting it as he got the ring, "Hey man, you're punching me too hard. You need to chill the fuck out. Like, I'm going to tell on you." That's essentially what that sounds like.
It takes you back to Mighty Ducks. I think Mighty Ducks 2, randomly, of all the things.
Yeah. This really does take you back to Mighty Ducks 2. No. When the same thing.
When the goalie is yelling at the bigger ice hockey player, and his two friends are going, "He'd kill you." Yeah, but hold me back. Look, it looks like I'm going to kill him.
Yeah, I mean, that's what this, in fairness, that is exactly what this sounds like. And that is no diss on Carl Weathers. As we said, Dolph Lundgren, even now, is a scary looking dude, let alone 1985 flat top fucking, I mean, with the flat top, you can add a couple extra inches.
Oh, yeah.
6'7" at least. Yeah.
And that thing was level, mind.
Oh, that was level. That was cut. You could sit here watch that haircut, no doubt about it.
The Italian, we've already spoken about the Italian dub, but it was I Break You in Two.
Yeah,
and it became by far the most famous quote from the movie in Italy and entered everyday speech, as you've already said.
Fantastic.
So James Brown is seen performing the song Living in America prior to the Creed versus Drago match. The song was released as a single from the movie soundtrack and became Brown's first top 40 single in 11 years and the last of his career.
Yeah, you got that earlier.
Yeah. I've already said about the montage being 31%.
Yeah.
This one I didn't know. Arnold Schwarzenegger helped train Lundgren to make sure he was in the right shape for the film.
Yeah, I didn't hear about that. No. But, if you need to get in shape and pack on the muscle, I mean, 85 Schwarzenegger is probably a pretty decent shout, just off the back of Mr. Olympia. Yeah. I mean, what's he doing around this time? He's just done Terminator. Maybe he's training for Commando. He's in pretty good fucking nick.
He's looking good, yeah.
Yeah, and he's about to sadly blow. You think of Stallone, he must have thought like 1980s. And, this wasn't a thing before. This wasn't a thing in 70s cinema. Movie stars didn't take their top off. You didn't know what they looked at. It was only really Stallone starting it. And again, I'm thinking 1985, where he's like, there are bits. I don't think you see him with his top off in First Blood. And obviously he's got to take his shirt off in Rocky because he's a boxer. But he's not in
Yeah, no, in First Blood,
he's in boxer shape. Like, he's big, but in this, he's in movie star shape.
In First Blood, mind, he's getting hosed down.
Yeah, but it's different. Yeah, but there's nothing showy about that scene. Like, he's getting hosed down, and it's not like a sexy hosing down scene. It's a horrible.
Well, it depends. It depends how you look at it. I'm just saying.
I guess so. Yeah, but and again, like I said, there's topless scenes in Rocky, in so much that he's boxing with his top off.
Yeah,
but this is different. Like, he is greased up to the max. He's given no thought as to what a boxer should look like, a heavyweight boxer. He's just like, I want to look as shredded as fuck. And the same with, I mean, he spends most of First Blood Part 2 and subsequently Rambo 3 like topless. That's his thing then for the next 3 or 4 years.
Well, he's like, if I got to put the work in to look like this, somebody's going to see it.
Yeah, I can't remember if he takes his top off in Rhinestone, if truth be told, or Cobra for that matter. But he spends a fair bit of time topless.
Cobra is a film we're doing on this podcast, by the way.
I guess. I mean, Cobra's got one of the best movie posters, but I'm not convinced it's one of the best films of the 80s.
Oh, come on.
Sure thing.
Crime is a disease and he's the cure. I mean, come on.
I would sooner do Over the Top, if truth be told. But
and the fact that this is Cobra was what he wanted his Beverly Hills Cop to be.
Yeah, that is quite a different. Yeah, but you can't have. What happens if you have Stallone wisecracking? You end up with what the fuck, Oscar or Stop or
My Mum Will Shoot.
Yeah, the dude's had a weird career, man.
Yeah, I know.
Look, it's like from Rocky 3 onwards, like 82, Rocky 3, First Blood. Okay, Rhinestone is a bit of a fucking outlier. But Rambo, Part 2, Rocky 4, Cobra, these are all pretty much back-to-back. Over the Top, as silly as it is still kind of fun. Rambo 3, Lockup, Tango and Cash, all through the 80s, and then it just, the 90s starts as it means to go on. Rocky 5, Oscar, Stop or My Mum Will Shoot. But there is a turnaround then for Cliffhanger and Demolition Man. I'll give you that. Those are good films.
Go back, before you carry on.
No, go for it.
We're in the fact section. Do you know why he did Stop or My Mum Will Shoot?
No idea.
So he was in a rivalry at the time.
Kindergarten Cop?
No, he was in a rivalry at the time with Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Schwarzenegger read the script, realized it was going to be shit, but told his agent to put out there that he's going to accept it. So Stallone jumped on it to beat Schwarzenegger to it.
Oh, Stallone. I felt like you were sharper than that, you silly man. I mean, yeah, it's a stinker. But like I said, he follows up with Cliffhanger in 93. That's a genuinely good film.
Yeah.
Demolition Man. Even The Specialist is pretty good. But then things like 95 onwards. Well, saying that, even 95 is Judge Dredd, Assassins, Daylight.
Man.
Copland is a legitimately good film.
Copland's great.
Yeah, like even through the 90s, it's hit and miss, but it's still, there's some good stuff. It's 2000s, like with Get Carter, Driven, Detox, Avenging Angelo, when it really goes off the rails. And that's why I think, like he was ostensibly done as a movie star by 2005. And when you hear just like, oh, he's going to do Rocky Balboa when he was, like late 50s, you're like, man, he's going to fight as well. It shouldn't have worked, Rocky Balboa, but it's a great film. And it was actually followed up. I really like Rambo or Rambo 4, whatever you want to call it. It's fucking violent.
Do you mean Stallone kills Burma?
Yeah, he kills the fuck out of Burma.
Oh my God.
He rips the throat out of Burma.
Jesus Christ.
I like that film, though. I like that film.
It's good, but there was nobody left in Burma after that. I'm sorry.
No, I think you are. I think he kills Burma. Yeah. I think he pretty much killed. It's like, well, that's Burma done. Rambo killed them.
Yeah. To the point where they go, we need to change our name.
Yeah. They totally. It's like, dude, we can't have this. Rambo will fucking come back. Yeah. He was so big in that film as well.
Oh, he was so human. The bow and arrow looked tiny compared to him at that point.
Who was that?
The bow and arrow that he was holding.
Oh, yeah. Like obviously he's been shredded and stuff like that. And I know he's not a tall guy, but there's something about him in Rambo 4, or I think it's just called Rambo over here, where he just looks ginormous. He looks like a bear. Like, I'm just like that's the scariest he's ever looked. I mean, it helps, of course, when he rips a guy's throat out with his bare hands. But there's something about him in that film where I'm just like, man, I would not fuck with Rambo in that film one bit. And then, of course, they ruined it with Rambo 5 is the worst, man. Last Blood. It's up there with Die Hard 5 as being just my least favorite.
Also known as Stallone Kills the Cartel, or Stallone Kills Mexico.
Yeah, it's a bad film.
Yeah.
Sorry, man, it's a bad film. Sorry, did you have any more facts?
Yeah, I got a couple more. Sorry.
Go for it. No,
I was really interested in all of that then.
Yeah, sorry.
The last film that Sylvester Stallone directed, so Rocky IV was the last. I love this. It's the last film he directed until Rocky Balboa. So basically what they're saying is he didn't direct that shit that was Rocky V. That's yeah.
He hates Rocky V. Didn't he famously I think he was on Jonathan Ross, and he was being asked to rate the Rocky films.
Yeah.
And I think he gave this one 7.5 out of 10, which I think is an interesting score and probably bang on in terms of if you're going to,
Oh, you mean it's okay? It's okay to put a half score in something? Is that what you're saying?
Go fuck yourself. It's absolutely unacceptable. It is if you're Stallone. I'll give it if you're Stallone, and that's it. But he gave Rocky V 0 out of 10.
Yeah, because it's shit. Enough.
Easy to shit on it when you didn't direct it, I suppose.
So the film is recognized as being ahead of its time in its demonstration of groundbreaking high-tech sporting equipment, some of which was experimental and 20 years from public use.
Cool.
And obviously, Bridget Nielsen then famously played Drago's wife, and she married Stallone in real life in December '85, so after the film's premiere.
Yeah. And plus, isn't it one of those things nobody in this film is actually Russian?
That's the next one on my list. That is the next one on my list.
Swedish, and all the other guys putting on Russian accents as bad as mine are all American.
So,
yeah. Fantastic.
That was the next one. Well, Stallone confirms that the 35th anniversary of Director's Cut won't include Paulie's robot. So bye-bye Sickle, or Psycho, whatever his name was.
It's a shame.
And then the only film in the series that doesn't feature the Philadelphia Museum of Art.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
And then in 2010 interview in Britain around the release of The Expendables, Dolph Lundgren claimed not to still have some of the Ivan Drago stuff when asked if he still had the shorts because it was stolen in a burglary 20 years ago. So basically someone stole his shorts. Yeah.
That sucks. Because I mean, as far as the Rocky series goes, this has probably got the most iconic shorts. If you combine the American shorts that Rocky, I know he got them in Rocky 3, but those combined with the very Russian shorts for Drago, it's just pretty cool visually.
That's pretty much me then.
Cool. Well, I think that pretty much just leaves video games. So, the video games go right back to 1983 and the release of, I guess it would have been Rocky 3 at that point.
Yeah.
And the first game is actually of all the consoles in the world, was released on the ColecoVision or ColecoVision. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. It was before my time. Yeah. Coleco, of course. I've actually played the ColecoVision video game museum. It's not great, but the game actually looks, for a game from 1983, I mean, it's rough, but it's quite artistically interesting.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until 1987 when Rocky was released for the Master System. Now, it was called Rocky, but if you look at the box art, that great Master System box art with the grid stuff on it, and the menu art, it's all very much based off Rocky 4. But I swear to God, man, you look at it and so you can't believe it's a Master System game. It looks really fucking good. I've never actually played it, but I watched a video. I was like, man, that looks like a Mega Drive game more than a Master System game. It looks pretty sweet. But I mean, since then, there's been a whole mess of Rocky games. There was actually a really long gap until the early 2000s when there was Rocky Legends and stuff on the PS2. But there is a new boxing game coming out. What is it? Big Rumble Boxing Creed Champions. It's actually coming out in September.
Yeah.
And it's very much an arcade boxing game. It reminds me. Do you remember Ready to Rumble Boxing on the Dreamcast?
Yeah.
Yeah. It totally reminds me of that. Totally overblown, but it has all the characters, and they're all caricatures to one point or another. So it totally works. I mean, obviously, I have no idea if it plays any good. But, I mean, it's still not the boxing game I want. I mean, essentially, what I want is EA's Fight Night.
Fight Night. I was going to say the same thing.
I mean, Fight Night is just the best. I mean, if you go back and play Fight Night Championship, or Fight Night Champions, whatever it's called, from 2007, it still plays really fucking well. Still looks great. What I would love is a Fight Night game, which has all the, real boxes as you'd usually expect, but then the story is all Rocky. It's a Rocky story mode where you go through and fight the full Rogues Gallery.
They tried that, didn't they? You said there was the one they did on PlayStation 2. Wasn't that kind of the same thing?
Yeah, it's the same thing, but I want it in the Fight Night engine. I'm being greedy here. I want a Fight Night game, as I said, with all the real boxes, but then the story modes just make it Rocky with all the Rocky fighters. So that is my greedy.
That would be That would be a good DLC, wouldn't it? They just have Fight Night, and then a DLC is Rocky.
Yeah. The only other option, and my favorite boxing game of all time, would be to have a Rocky sponsored Punch Out.
I was going to say Punch Out as well.
Because he works his little math. Rocky's smaller than everyone. Like each character is unique enough to work as like a kind of Punch Out big bad. What's his name? Max Trainer totally looks like Duke. Looks like Duke. You just change the music. I mean, I would say Punch Out might be it's in my top 3 or 4 NES games of all time, and it's alongside the different end of the spectrum, but it's alongside Fight Night is my favorite boxing game. And I'm like, the idea of having like an 8-bit Punch Out but with Rocky characters, I'm surprised nobody's done it online. Like everyone does these mods. I mean, fucking Mike Tyson was in the initial. It was Mike Tyson's Punch Out until they started raping everybody, and they had to take him out. Raping everybody. That's maybe a bit of an.
Oh my god!
But yeah, like just do fucking Rocky Punch Out. That'd be amazing. So I've totally changed my mind now. I want to see Rocky Punch Out. But yeah. So there's that. But I think that's pretty much it. So I mean, here's the interesting bit, I suppose. What's your rating, and would you tell other people to watch it?
Well, I mean, I think everyone's watched this. Let's be fair.
Dude, you'd be surprised. In my last 2 jobs, when I've gone in and I've said, I've just assumed everyone's seen Rocky. And I've been talking to some of these guys who are genuine film fans. And I go, I've never seen Rocky. I'm like, what? Which one? Like any of them. I'm like, how the fuck? I don't know how you do it. How the fuck can you get, like, we're talking about guys in their 30s. How can you not have seen a Rocky film by fucking accident? You're on ITV2 every 2 minutes. It's like saying in this part, I've not seen Hot Fuzz. I'm like, do you not turn on the TV? I was legitimately amazed to hear a surprisingly large number of people have never seen the Rocky films.
What's Hot Fuzz?
You go fuck yourself.
You didn't fight.
What kind of hardcore bullshit are you going to give this?
For these random people, I would recommend. Like I'd recommend Rocky 4 on a standalone. And if you liked Rocky 4, go back and watch the others except 5. Do not fucking touch 5.
Oh, dude, I don't think I can say going straight at 4 because you're going to get a totally skewed view of what Rocky is. Like if you watch Rocky 4 and you see this, but
we're talking about Rocky 4 alone, man, because this podcast is Rocky 4, so I'm recommending.
Yeah,
Rocky
but
4.
I think I would give them that caveat. I'd be like, they're like, oh wait, should I watch Rocky 4? I'm like, yeah, but like watch all the Rockies. Don't just watch Rocky 4. No, start at 1 and make your way to Rocky 4.
But you're looking too deep into it. We're talking about this film. You have to recommend Rocky 4.
But I don't think you can talk about Rocky 4 in and of itself without talking about the Rocky. I think it's completely reasonable to talk about it as part of the saga. Say you just made that point. Like, say you would watch Rocky 5, and I was asking the same question. Would you tell someone to watch Rocky 5?
I tell them no.
Like, no fucking way. But at the same time, in the same breath, you see, but watch the rest of them.
Yeah, but
if we don't watch Rocky 5.
But if I love how animated we're getting right now. Nobody can see the hands moving. We're talking
not a hand movement, very handsy.
If we're talking about Rocky 4, I'm recommending Rocky 4. And I'm saying if you enjoy that, watch the others. But we're talking about recommending this film. We're not talking about recommending the series.
I just don't think I could say to someone if they said,
do you know what?
Have you seen Rocky 4? I'd be like, yeah, you should watch Rocky 4. I'm like, dude, watch all of them, man. Watch all 3.5. 3.5. You're going to give this film 3.5. Okay.
No. So Rocky 4
beyond the semantics, we both agree, clearly, we would encourage people to watch Rocky 4.
And Rocky 4 gets a 3 out from me. It's a middle of the road. It's fun to watch. But
wait, you just said it was your second favorite Rocky film, though.
Yeah, my first. favorite
No, I see what you mean. No, I think that's defendable. Yeah, sorry.
I'm
just in an argumentative mood now. All of a sudden,
my first favorite Rocky film gets a 4, but we'll go on to that.
Okay, fair enough.
It's a 3. It's a 3. It's middle of the road. It's fun to watch, but there's other films out there that are going to get higher ratings from me. I still enjoy it, but it's a solid 3.
Well, we are finding out unequivocally going through these podcasts that you are a harsher critic than I, that's for sure. But I mean, my heart says give this film a 5. I mean, that's what it says, but my head reins it in a bit. I would totally give this film a 4, even though I've spent a lot of time saying that it doesn't work as a film. It's utterly unique. Like there's nothing else in the world that's quite like Rocky 4. It's absolutely batshit crazy. It's 80s to the max. It's nearly all music, but all the music is fucking fun. Like, it's not a great film, but I love watching it. You could, if you were just being like a critic, you could break this film down and tear it to pieces. It would be hard to argue with.
But it's still so much fun to watch.
Exactly.
It's so much fun to watch. But it can be fun to watch and not be the highest rated film. Do you know what I mean?
No, I totally agree. And I mean, me giving this a 4-star, I'm not going to argue with you when you say 3 stars for this film, because again, it's fundamentally a rather ridiculous film, but it's super, super fun. It's like, like you say, if we boast stuff with a 3-star film, I'd go on record and say it's the most fun 3-star film you'll ever see.
Yeah.
That is the thing. So
just to sing along to the songs. It is a 90-minute music video at this point.
Yeah, and even the soundtrack, the fact, like you mentioned it earlier, the fact that it won a Razzie for worst soundtrack.
Yeah,
like I can kind of accept that alongside the fact that I love this soundtrack. This soundtrack's dumb as shit, but it's, again, it keeps coming back to one word. It's so fun. It's not a good soundtrack, but it's a great. It's somehow a great soundtrack and a terrible soundtrack. It kind of accepts its absurdity and just kind of leans into it. Hence why I think Stallone knew what he was doing when he was just like, maybe he's changed his mind now, but there's an hour of this film on the cutting room floor. Like, he knew what he was doing when he left the film. He was like, well, this is mostly music, but they're fucking belters. Let's just go with this.
I mean, if they put the Bill Conti Gonna Fly Now song from the other Rockies in that, it'd be better. Have you ever heard the lyrics to that?
I mean, a lot of the lyrics are they're pretty on the nose, but
yeah. Trying hard now. It's so hard now. Trying hard now. Oh, he's ready. Gonna make a move, yeah. Oh, he's ready. And making moves, yeah. Getting strong now. Won't be long now. Getting strong now. Gonna fly now. Flying high now. Gonna fly. That's it. So basically, it says you're starting off with, you're trying quite well. By the end of it, mate, you're flying. You're fucking going.
Well, yeah, but as you were saying it, I'm not sure if it's just your specific delivery.
My dulcet tones.
But I mean, it was only when you read it out like this, I was like, wait a minute, is this the most homoerotic song of all time? I mean, that's what it sounded like. I thought that's what you were getting
at. That's just my delivery. That's just my delivery.
Hard now. Really hard now. I'm coming for you. Like, you know, I know that isn't verbatim, but that's basically what I heard. And at the end of Flying High, I'm like, oh, so they're getting ready for homosexual sex. And at the end, they're like, well, let's do a couple of lines of cocaine first. I don't know why I said cocaine. Cocaine first. Cocaine.
What the fuck was that?
Dude, I can't explain why I said cocaine. There is a reason behind it. I'm not going to explain it now. So cocaine. So that's what I heard, the way you delivered it, is they're going to have anal sex, possibly for the first time. They're like, okay, maybe we should do some cocaine first. So they do the cocaine, and then they have gay anal sex. Yeah. So an interesting end to this podcast for sure. I wasn't expecting it to go there, but anyway, we'll leave Rocky 4 with gay sex.
Wow.
What are we doing next week? Because it's your choice.
Tremors. I was thinking. I was thinking of a way to introduce this. But
just Tremors.
It speaks for itself. We're doing Tremors next week. I fucking love this film. This film is great. Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
I love Tremors.
Yeah. Well, it really did sound like you just picked that off your top of your head. Like you were just like, oh wait, what's an 80s film?
Tremors,
wait. Is Tremors 80s?
No, Tremors is 90.
It's bang on 90, isn't it?
90, yeah.
And Kevin Bacon's hair really does drive that fact home. It's very early 90s hair, that's for sure. For sure.
Tremors is on the cusp of 80s and 90s, let's be fair.
Yeah, it's probably made in the 80s.
It is.
Or conceived in the 80s, whatever.
It's a great film. It is one of my favorite films. It is up there.
Oh, really?
It's so much fun to watch. It's enjoyable. Plus, it brings back Egg Shen from Big Trouble in Little China.
Well, I mean, I have fond memories of watching this as a kid, and funny enough, I kind of spotted, it was like a box set of the first 4 films for like $2 or $3. So I was like, I'm going to buy that. I'm almost certainly not going to watch any of the sequels, which I'm sure we'll get to next week. But as I said, I haven't seen Tremors for the best part of, 15, 20 years at this point. So I'm legitimately looking forward to going back and see if it does hold up. Because
in preparation, you should watch all 8 Tremors films.
No,
don't fucking do it to yourself. I will.
Be clear. I'm not going to tarnish my memories and obviously my rewatching of Tremors by watching what I have no doubt is an array of absolutely bullshit sequels.
I will wholeheartedly go into the legacy of this.
Oh, I look forward to it because it's going to be all news to me. So I look forward to the legacy.
But I love Tremors. I'm interested. I'm really looking forward to watching it again. So so next week we will be covering Tremors, mate.
Yeah, I hope you join us. Thanks again for listening, and see you next week, guys. Cheers.
Oh, yeah, and before I forget, because I always forget, here's Rob telling you where you can actually find us.
Yeah, so we're currently on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter under Hey You Guys 80s or at Hey You Guys 80s. And we're also on email at heyyouguys80s@gmail.com. Please feel free to drop us any emails, any recommendations, or any reviews you have. But whilst we're on about that, wherever you get your podcasts, please also smash the subscribe button. Yes, I said smash.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Leave us a review and leave us some 5-star ratings as well. But make sure they're 5-star ratings.
Yeah. We're not interested in 1 star. 5-star. If it's not going to be 5-star, don't move smashing anything. Just leave your opinion to yourself. 5-star ratings only. But yeah, if you could do that, we'd really appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. See you next week.
Hey, you guys!